Yeah, I think with tutorials, I think it's such a novel concept, which obviously is not at many universities apart from Oxbridge. What was kind of, it's obviously not like a sixth form class, but what is it like? Is it like, the professor stands there and you make notes, or is it a conversation? Is it more of a debate, and does it? I'm asking lots of questions here, but does it change based on the subject? So would a chemistry tutorial look different to maybe a history and French tutorial, for example?
Yes, it would definitely differ between subjects. I think humanities, from my friends who I know had similar tutorials, it was like a debate, it was a conversation, and they could maybe pick through an essay that you'd written that week. For me in chemistry, it was going through problem sheets normally. But again, it was very kind of relaxed. Normally the tutor would stand at the front by a whiteboard, probably in a room similar to this. So you just kind of sat on sofas and everything. And what was really great about it is because again, it was only 3 of you in the room, you could ask so many questions. So it wasn't like a lesson where you have a lesson plan and that's what you're going to do today. In tutorial, it's very, changeable depending on what you don't understand and what you want to talk about. And I was definitely one of those people at school where I was quite scared to put my hand up or contribute in class and stuff. And it was completely different atmosphere in Oxford where they kind of, whenever I asked a question, my tutor would be like, great question. They loved asking questions and kind of also being stuck themselves. They loved it. Again, it's a completely different learning environment compared to at school where you feel like you can only be right or wrong. But at university, it felt like, it's okay to be wrong. It's actually really interesting to be wrong and then learn from it. So yeah, it was very different to classes and A-levels.
And because that's such a different learning style, did it take you a little time to adjust to that? Did it take you a little time to warm up to that process of learning?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I feel like with GCSE and A-levels, there's so many exams that, that's all you think about the whole time. You don't necessarily think about the whole learning experience and enjoying learning. Obviously, I did enjoy learning, but it does kind of feel like, full on at A-levels. But so it's really good at university to kind of just sit back and enjoy my subject a bit and be able to tailor my own experience to what I enjoy rather than just learning from a syllabus. I could ask questions that I was really interested in and have a one-on-one conversation with a top professor about it. So it was really great in terms of kind of changing my mindset about that. And it isn't necessarily about the exams. It's about, your own interests.
And how does the sort of exam timetable, as it were, work there? Is it very different to school? Do you do one exam sort of at the end of a year, or are there multiple exams throughout the year? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's quite different compared to other universities, but compared to schools, it's quite similar that you only set exams that matter at the end of each year. So in the summer, you do mock exams at the beginning of each term, but they don't mean anything. And it also depends on the subject. So something like PPE, you only actually have proper exams at the end of the 3 years, which is kind of crazy. For me, I had to do, so first year doesn't count. I think that's pretty standard across all universities. But in my second, third and fourth year, I had exams at each of those years that all counted. But yeah, I think some of my friends doing humanities where it was all based on, 3 weeks at the end of 3 years. It's a lot of pressure compared to other universities where it's normally every semester. So twice a year that they do exams.
Okay. And did you feel that there was any difference in the way that you would prepare for those exams based on ways you had prepared in the past for things like GCSEs, probably more closer to A-level?
Actually, not surprisingly. I actually think my working towards GCSEs and A-levels helped a lot when I came to revising for university. I think, GCSEs and A-levels is kind of just a tester period to kind of realize the best way that I learn. And so I kind of did a lot of flashcards and practice exam questions and things like that. So it wasn't too different to what I'd already experienced. It was actually, I felt a lot more confident revising for university exams because I knew what works and I knew how I learn and how much I can do in a day. So it wasn't that bad in that respect.
How does that make you feel about knowing that it could all come down to 3 weeks at the end of your third year?
I think that's... it sounds a bit similar to GCSE because obviously as an IB student, I've got 30% coursework in every subject. So I kind of go in, well, hopefully with marks in the bag. And I go into the final exam with a little less pressure. I think it kind of is more pressure, but also it's more of an opportunity to show your tutors what you've learned from the course. And especially from a humanities side, I think that a lot of the essay questions are so subjective, and it's really an opportunity for you to like show yourself through them. And I think that that's one thing where there's always a little bit less pressure when you're presenting yourself than when you're answering a question which is either right or wrong, which I assume chemistry is more like than a humanities subject.